Wait, this isn't the Harmonica Enthusiast Club. This is 30 Days to Amaze. Oh, by the way, I want to see if I can get my dog to howl. I was doing this morning. All right, see you guys in about 2 minutes. Where's the right button for it? Oh, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Let's try that. Well, hey, 30 Days to Amazers. How you guys doing? It's day 26. Yeah, we are on the final lap, the final turn of 30 Days to Amaze. And we got a really awesome day planned for you to just make sure your weekend is going to be not only amazing, but filled with all sorts of good tools to help you in your health journey. Today is no exception. Before I bring on our very special guest today, I wanted to, if you haven't seen the post I put earlier in our Facebook group, that webinar today at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and everything in between. I can't highly recommend that enough. This guy, Zach Bush, if you don't know about him, he has been probably my rock through the last year, and one of the most brilliant people I've ever encountered. And kind of when this stuff, a year ago, almost to the day, or definitely this part of February last year, we were kind of hearing about this new thing, and it was scaring most of us. It was scaring me, and I was thinking, what I was hearing is that 10% of the world's population is going to die, and I didn't really know what was going to happen, and I mean, still don't, but at the same time, I came across this guy, and he's done nothing more than anyone to just kind of quiet my fears, and he does it in a very non-political, compelling way. The guy's freaking brilliant, and I've just learned so much from him. So anyway, I just want to pass it on to you to avail yourself of him, and I think you will really enjoy it. And it has a lot to do with health, and not just public health, but just everything we've been talking about in these first 26 days, that plays a role And that is just kind of something that's, well, it's been on the front burner for a lot of us during this last year. And yeah. All right, so enough about that. Actually, I'm trying to pull up this to make sure this stream is going. It looks like it is. All right. Well, speaking of amazing people, there's another amazing person that I want to introduce you to. So let me go ahead and pull her up. Hit that button, hit that button, hit that button. All right, so I'm going to bring in Erin Power. Erin, are you there? Can you hear us?
I'm here.
All right, we can hear you. Let me bring up the fancy logo. All right, let me tell you who this person is. A little bit about Erin Power. By the way, about the coolest name you could ever think of. Erin resides in the countryside, way out there in the country in Calgary, outside of Calgary in Alberta, Canada. Erin is the founder of Eat Simple, and you can find her at eat.simple.ca. And Erin is also the coaching director of the Primal Health Coach Institute. I'm a proud graduate of the Primal Health Coach Institute, so I'm a big fan of that. She is the creator of 8 Weeks to Effortless program, where she helps her clients achieve an effortless relationship with food. So that sounds pretty good. And she's also the creator day of the 30-day metabolic reboot, which I am not too proud to say that 30 Days to Amaze is a total ripoff of that idea. I pretty much stole her idea for this group, and I'm not apologizing for it. I don't know if you know this, Erin, but I have nicknamed you something. I call her the template. You know, not only has Erin got a really cool last name, but I've called her the template. She probably says template in Canada because she speaks the Queen's English. It's a lot more proper than the way we pronounce words. But, you know, I just want to tell you all, if you're watching this, that whatever you have heard from me, it's because Erin probably said it first. I might have some original ideas of my own, but most of it comes from Erin and her influence in my life. And she's done more for just my thinking and my own personal health than about anyone. She has transformed me and helped transform me, my health, my brain, just how I do business to show up for other people more than anybody. And I can't tell you how many times I have been, thinking about a course of action to take, whether that's in business or with my own personal health. And I'm like, I wonder what Erin would do. What would Erin Power do? And that's actually helped me navigate a lot of those waters. I'm actually thinking about getting a bracelet, like a WWEPD bracelet.
I'll add it to
Market
my
those
swag
things.
shop.
You might want to get one of those for your clients, like a WWEP. It's like wept, wept. Anyway. But, just to, I guess, Erin is always so gracious with her time as well, too. She's our only returning guest from the first 30 Days to Amaze, so that should say something, too. But really, in a nutshell, she's my biggest hero, and she's the person I love most in life not related to me. So without further ado, please welcome the incomparable, the powerful Erin Power. Can you hear the applause all
Wow.
across the country in
Yeah,
Canada?
I can
All
feel it.
right. Very good. I hope I gave you a good enough introduction.
That's crazy.
Because
That
we could
that
we could
made my whole
spend
week.
we could spend the next half an hour me just glopping on you, but I think people would just want to hear what you have to say. So hope you're going to be able to live up to that introduction.
I'm nervous.
I'm sure you are. If you don't know this about Erin, she doesn't get nervous. At least she doesn't show it very much. She doesn't get rattled too easily. So maybe we can rattle her a little bit, throw some curveball questions at her that she just will get stumped by. But as to date, I've never seen that happen. But anyway, hey, before we get going on a couple of questions we have for you, would you just kind of share with us your story? How did you get interested in this health space that you're in right now, and how did you become to be the Erin Power that you are presenting us with today?
Well, on a tactical note, I'm Aaron Power because my husband's last name is Power. My maiden name is not as cool, but he had that going for him, so I said yes. Um, my health journey is like a lot of folks. Well, maybe not actually. I did everything right. And I still got fat and sick. And I literally got fat and sick. I was pre-diabetic, so that's literal fat and sickness. That's you're almost diabetic. Your metabolism's not working. Your body can't use fuel properly. It's just packing everything into storage, which meant I had no energy, which was my biggest problem. I was fatigued and low energy to the point where I describe it as being checked out of life. And I don't know if anybody can relate to that, what that feels like. But I mean, I was what, 30-year-old woman, in my early 30s, trying to carve a name for myself in the world and my career. And I couldn't think, I couldn't focus. I just couldn't step into my own life. And that didn't make sense. And so I went to the doctor. She said it was pre-diabetic. That also didn't make sense. None of this made sense because I had followed all the rules. I was eating from the food groups. I was eating 7 times a day. I was exercising my face off. And obviously that's frustrating when you do everything right and you still get fat and sick and checked out of life. That's not fair. So I got really grumpy and angry about it and set out to just take the bull by the horns, like educate myself. Clearly what I've been told wasn't right because it didn't work. So I learned about the human body. That was 12 years ago. I dove into human biochemistry, metabolic biochemistry. I wanted to understand how the human body uses fuel, period, without some fitness trainer talking head giving me platitudes about how many ounces of chicken breast I should be, So I figured it all out, learned it all, applied it. Gosh darn it, it worked. And then what happens after that is you become evangelical. You want to tell everybody. So that's what I do now.
That's awesome. Well, hey, it's probably a coincidence, but maybe the stars were aligned. But our topic today just happened to fall on, I didn't plan it this way, but one of your areas of expertise, I would say, would just be this. The topic of our day was, in a nutshell, what happens when weight loss, if that's a goal, and it is a goal for a lot of us in this group, weight loss stalls. So you've been doing all the right things, and all of a sudden you start eating like a different way, and you start doing a different kind of exercise, and the needle starts moving down. And you're like, yeah, things are working, but then all of a sudden it stops and it doesn't move at all, and how disconcerting that can be. And there's always a tendency to maybe want to throw in the towel and like, well, that didn't work. So what happens when the scale stops moving? So first of all, actually, why don't you tell us your thoughts on the bathroom scale? You might have some thoughts on this amazing tool that we have at our disposal.
Oh my gosh. That's where I wanted to begin, because that thing's a tool of ignorance. It doesn't even measure what you're looking to achieve. You're not looking to become lighter. You're looking to lose fat off your body, which a scale does not measure. Period. It doesn't. It measures your gravitational pull. Doesn't tell you anything about your health, your status of health, or your body composition. So right off the bat, get rid of that thing. It's not measuring the thing that you care about. You don't want to be lighter. You want to be maybe smaller, tighter, leaner, whatever. Other words that a scale doesn't measure. So that's how I feel about that. I'm puzzled as to why that ever became the tool that that makes or breaks our day. Well, breaks our day. When was the last time the scale made your day? I'm like, I can't think of a time when I stepped on the scale and it made me happier. So I don't really like the scale. So let's forget that thing. Let's talk about it in terms of fat loss, because that's what you want, right? So what do we do in fat loss stalls? This is so funny because I'm concurrently running my 30-day metabolic reboot right now. So I'm on day 26 of my reboot. Yesterday, I had a day where I talked about the one and only metabolic hack I'm comfortable giving. And, spoil the surprise for me, the only metabolic hack I'm comfortable handing out is like, take a walk before you eat in the morning. It's just a pretty cool way to like tell your body like, hey, we're just going to go for a very short little mellow ambulation, and the body may tap into some stored fat, and that's pretty cool. But I used to have a 1-pager. This is going back a few years. I used to have a 1-pager of like 8 or 10 metabolic nudge tactics, things to do if you stall. And I have since set fire, metaphorically, to that 1-pager. It was a PDF, so I didn't set fire to it because that would involve burning a computer, and that would be wise. So, because I don't like hacks. There is the hack, the number one hack, unfortunately, is patience. Ooh. So what's happening when your body is trucking along and things are going great, and then it kind of just pauses for a moment. It's pausing. It's taking a pause. Remember that your body is trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you alive. It cares about you. It's protecting you. It's in protection mode all the time. And it's responding to the inputs you're providing. And you're providing an input that suggests that the food situation out there is changing, and the body's responding really nicely to that. And it's like, oh, this is great. The body can use this fuel really well. It's using fuel better. But there's periods of time when the body's going to just kind of hold court and be like, I'm just going to wait this out and make sure things are still safe before I liberate some more fat, because we might need this. Your body is not holding on to fat because it hates you. Your body's, first of all, holding on to fat because you told it to. Like, you told your body to store fat, believe it or not. You provided an input that said, store this, and it believed you. It believed you and trusted you when you told it to do that. So it's not just going to willy-nilly let that all go in any kind of linear or predictable fashion. It's still trying to protect you. It's still trusting you that you wanted that fat on your body for some reason. So that's a major reframe. Like, we're reframing the very existence of your fat as a really beautiful, elegant system of your body, the one that you asked for. Does that make sense when I say that you asked for it? Yeah.
It is. Yeah, one of the things I ripped off a phrase from you in today's email, consequently. So I'll just quote it, and you've already talked about this a little bit, but maybe you can expand upon it. Your body doesn't hate you. Your body loves you. So what did you mean when you said that? How would you explain that?
So I tell my rebooters that they're the pilot of the meat suit. It's gorgeous, amazing, elegant technology that we get to walk around in. It's amazing, and we're the pilots of it. And it's kind of what I said a second ago is we're in charge of the inputs. So we're in charge of bringing in the food. We're in charge of bringing in the stress. That's why I'm unrattleable. I'm not willing to bring stress into my body because that's not fair to my body, right? So I worked really hard, for example, to curate a very, what's the word? I guess adaptable, unrattleable personality style that's been curated intentionally. Sleep inputs, daylight inputs, all these inputs that I'm sure Chris has taught you about. We're in charge of those, and the body responds to whatever input we provide, whether it's a healthy one or an unhealthy one, because it loves us and it trusts us, and it's going to respond to the inputs we provide, good, bad, or indifferent, out of this protection, this need to protect us, keep us alive, keep us thriving. And that's really loving. That's loving. Your body doesn't store fat because it hates you and wants you to feel uncomfortable in your swimsuit. It's stored fat because you provided inputs that suggested we need to hoard fuel. And it said, okay, absolutely. You're the pilot. We will do that for you out of love and respect for you.
Yeah. How do you change people's thinking on that? I mean, you probably can't change anyone's thinking on that, but let's say you've been, I want to be careful how I use this term, but let's just say like a doctor person, or you've kind of gone with the flow of like, the narrative for most of us, like by default, is that your body's broken, that it's messed up, that it doesn't know how to do what it's supposed to do, that you're not really the pilot. So and I don't want to say, if I say brainwash, that sounds like too strong a word, but let's just say you're in that kind of mode of thinking. Have you been able to, say the magic words to get people thinking differently about that?
Oh man. Yeah. So for 1995, I'll tell you what they are. And then I'll go retire on my private island. First of all, that's like, think about how disempowering that is, right? Like, it's so disempowering to be told, you don't know what you're doing. You're doing it all wrong. Your body's broken. So that makes me angry. That's how I felt. I felt disempowered, and I won't stand for that. So how do you empower folks? You can't. So we have to empower from within. We are all responsible for empowering from within. So the approach that I take is truly, as dull as this is going to sound, I take the approach of teaching people the basics of human biochemistry. It's like, this is simply how the body designed, and the human body is at once simple, complex, and elegant, and kind of basic at the same time. Like, a phrase that I use a lot is, you don't have to love your body, but you can learn to respect it. So respect that it's handling the inputs, again, like I said earlier, inputs you're providing. That's more empowering. That right off the bat is a more empowering come from. It's like, oh, wait, I'm actually in charge here. I'm the pilot. So pilot's a very empowering position. So I think that's the place to start, is by empowering folks to realize that contrary to what their doctor person might have told them, they're not nobody's destined to poor health. That's not even, it doesn't make any sense. Like that doesn't make any sense from an evolutionary standpoint. Why would this animal be destined to become fat, sick, slow, stupid? Like that doesn't make any sense. Every animal in the animal kingdom is destined to be epic.
Hmm.
Especially, sorry, the apex predator, we're the most epic. So like it doesn't make any sense. It literally is bullshit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I said that.
Oh, cuss away. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for saying that. I wrote down, and I've never heard you say this before, but man, every time I listen to you, there's something new. I'm like, the number one hack is patience. I'm just like, if you haven't copyrighted that, I'm gonna claim that as my own. But man, that is such a good. Actually, that leads me to the next question. You've said that losing 1 to 2 pounds a week is fake news. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't make sense. Like it, it just to me it's like that's foolishness. Like why on earth did we ever believe that? Like why do we believe the body is like a metronome that is just going to like robotically, oh yes, oh we're on a diet, okay, 1 to 2 pounds, first of all, what even is that, per week? And like I said before, well, in my experience with fat loss, which I've had a lot of, the way it kind of seems to go is it'll go down a bit, it'll flatten out, then it'll bump up, and then it goes down, flatten out, bump up, and it does this maddening zigzag thing, which is trending downward. But all of these ups and downs and straight lines are the body like going through the process. See, I pronounce it the American way. Going through the
Thank you.
process of liberating fat from storage. The body's like, okay, well, we're going to liberate this fat from storage because it seems like we should do that, or we can. That's great. But we're not totally sure it's safe yet. So we're going to backfill that fat cell with maybe some water, hold space, for it. And then the water flushes out, and that's the drop you might see on the scale or on your pant size, or your pant size becomes bigger, pants become bigger. Like it's this whole in and out of fat, water, super nonlinear. So people start hanging their hats on this expectation. And Chris, I'm sure you've come up against this. And as health coaches, we have to be very, very sensitive to the fact that this 1 to 2 pounds per week dogma has been drilled into our skulls, and our clients are expecting to steadily see 1 to 2 pounds a week. But simply the body doesn't work that way. Like that's the only way I can say it is it doesn't even make sense. That's marketing propaganda as near as I can
Yeah.
tell. But it's diet culture driven, and we've been dieting for 4 generations. So anybody who believes they should be losing 1 to 2 pounds per week, that is not your fault that you believe that. And we're very, very empathetic to the fact that you believe that, but it's fake news.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Hyman said something a couple weeks ago that I heard. He's like, we have to be in a caloric deficit, which means that in order to lose body fat, lose weight, we have to take in less calories than we burn. Did I say that right? We have to burn more calories than we take in. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's absolutely true. In a vacuum, so like if you're in like some space, or if your body is some kind of like supercomputer that is only, like some kind of calculator. And that's what's so, I think, I've proposed a little bit of MyFitnessPal tracking and food journaling for a small amount of time just to kind of get things working. But one of the things I hate most about that is like when you're first taking a MyFitnessPal and you get an account, you're pretty much like putting all these inputs in, and then it kind of tells you like, you'll be at this certain weight if weight loss is a goal for you. You'll be at this certain weight if you continue just to do all these things and plug in all these like numbers by a certain date. And I just think that's setting people up to just fail. And I don't know, that's never it worked in my life.
No, well, we at Primal Health Coach Institute, we've been doing a little project. It's top secret, but
Ooh.
in doing it, we've had to vet some of these apps like Noom.
Mm-hmm.
And Noom does the same thing. It's like, okay, you're going to achieve your goal weight by June 4th. It's like, you don't know that. There is so many inputs that are not being factored into this app. Like, how many calories is there? This is Jade Tita's line, Dr. Jade Tita.
Yep.
How many calories are in a period of high stress? How many calories are in a night of bad sleep? Like,
Mm-hmm.
to Dr. Hyman's point, we're not calculators. We're not in a vacuum. There's so many different things that influence this stuff that any AI that attempts to predict anything, any human or artificial intelligence that attempts to predict when you're going to hit your goal weight or your goal pant size can't. They're all lying. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to be rude, but I don't want to be rude. I want to be respectful, Chris, just in case you have this language in your business and I
Yes.
don't know. Okay, because it's like I'm not comfortable telling my clients how much weight they're going to lose in my 8 week program. I don't know. Or even pant sizes. I don't know. Don't know. I don't know so many things about this scenario.
Hmm.
I don't know how compliant you're going to be, how compliant you want to be. I don't know what's going to come up in your life. I have a client that lives in Texas, didn't know that was going to happen, didn't know she was going to be without water or electricity for 3 days, right?
How many calories are in a
So
snowpocalypse, right? We might have just lost Erin here. By the way, Erin, since she lives out in the far out country, she is one of the early adopters of, was it Starlink? Is that what it's called? Elon
yeah,
Musk has
yeah,
these.
yeah.
Oh, Aaron, you fade out there for a second. I was just saying,
I know.
maybe Elon Musk is messing with your bandwidth out there right now. So,
I should have given a tech disclaimer. But the really cool thing is the app will tell me like the next satellite's coming in like
ooh.
7 seconds, 6 seconds, so I can hang on.
My last comment was, yeah, how many calories are in a snowpocalypse? Has anyone kind of charted that out? Or yeah, when life throws you a big curveball, or you can't get to the gym for whatever reason during a day, it's like it's like I'm just tired of us trying to out science the way that the body is designed to function and thrive, and it's just like we just don't really trust nature. I don't know where we've lost that, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's especially true when it comes to weight loss. And it's just one of those things where it's like it's my mom was trying to lose weight in the early 80s. I still kind of remember it when she would get her Weight Watchers and her low fat cottage cheese with peaches on, that kind of stuff. And it was kind of always looking for like that pill, and there was always these ads of like, okay, here's like this the supplement that's going to help you do that. And it's still around today. It's just like we would have heard about it. We would have heard it if there was
Yeah.
something that did that, other than the fact of just everything we've been talking about in these 30 days to amaze. It's just like that it would have been big news if there was some kind of
Mm-hmm.
supplement or some kind of pill or some kind of surgery or something that would just permanently get us on the right track in terms of weight loss for the rest of our lives. All right, hey, I've got one more question for you, and if you guys have any questions, just throw them in our Facebook group. There's one that came in, so yeah, if you have any for Erin, I will ask those of her. One of the things I put in the email today was a list of 50 non-scale, non-weight loss benefits as kind of a result of, hey, this is working. Because I think that we all want to know, hey, is this working before we kind of junk it and try the next thing, something else. So my question is, what are some of your quote unquote favorite non-scale victories? I mean, where your clients are maybe the scale's not moving, but hey, this is working and you're getting different results in these areas.
Okay. That's so cool that you asked that question because it's also non-scale victory day today in the reboot.
Cool.
And this is the what is this, the sixth or seventh reboot I've run. And so every day 26, I send my rebooters to this Google form where they share 5 non-scale victories. So I'm pulling it up right now. That's why I'm killing time with this preamble. I've got 138 responses clocked in this form.
Hmm.
So I can literally 138 times 5, because that's 138 people times 5. So I have hundreds and hundreds of them at my fingertips.
That's incredible.
Less bloating. Okay, so less bloating is a big one. Less bloating, fewer bathroom issues. I'm sleeping way better. I have more energy during the day. I don't need to drink as much coffee, which means I'm not having like caramel macchiatos every day. I don't think about food constantly. I'm not worried about what I should or shouldn't eat. Um, I understand hunger for the first time ever. My mood is more mellow. My cravings have settled down. I don't have a sweet tooth anymore. My husband is happy for me. That's so nice. Um, Literally, like I have hundreds in front of me right now. People love feeling educated. They love feeling, kind of to your point a second ago, Chris, like I'm connected to my body for the first time ever. I trust my body, which I never did before. Like we've been really trained to not trust our amazing bodies. I'm cool with experimenting. There's no wagon to fall off of. I feel leaner. Like that's a neat one. I feel leaner.
Hmm.
And when I work with clients one-on-one and they're like, I really want to get on the scale. I really want to try on these pants that I have in the back of the cupboard. It's like, just make sure you feel good first. Like just have a day where you wake up and you're like, I feel good today. And then
Yeah.
make that the day that you try on the pants. Cause at least, you feel good. And if they fit or don't fit, you're still going to feel good. I mean, there's a few dozen I rattled off quickly, but gosh, I have hundreds.
Yeah. It made me when you think about sort of these non-scale victories, and kind of the opposite is of that is a symptom. And again, it kind of goes back to the if you have a symptom, it's not pleasant. And I'm talking about the symptoms that we don't want to have in life, but those are the body's way, I think, of crying out for help or some assistance. Like you talked about being the pilot of our lives and having those, that we're turning on and off our genes all the time. We're not a finished product, and so if again, just be a master detective in your life, and if there's a symptom, whether that's excessive weight gain or whether that's eczema.
So
I mean, we could just go down the list of all these
mhm.
symptoms. It's just like, man, like trust your body; it knows what it's doing, and if you're experiencing you know, pain, again, that's just the body's way of like crying out for some help and some assistance. And I think sometimes these non-scale victories, like when you start to realize, I mean, I had this guy I worked with, and he told me like weeks after I had done working with him, he's like, you know what? I realized I used to just like do this all the time with my wrist because I always had like this joint pain, and I didn't even realize it, but I stopped doing that. It's like, hey, that's so cool. That yeah, I mean, sometimes what we think is like normal with our body, like the
Mhm.
it's just crazy what we consider normal sometimes, like, or we've been told like this is what's happening and you have blank, like
Yeah.
when you went to the actually that's a good segue to the question. If you want to say something, I let you respond
Oh,
there.
I was just thinking, the wrist guy. It's so interesting because what almost every client, like literally majority of clients I've ever had, like my one-on-one clients, they'll say to me at some point, like 5 or 4 or 5 weeks into our 8 weeks together, "Oh, by the way, my acid reflux went away." And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Well, you didn't even tell me that you had acid reflux. You didn't even put it on the intake form." "Oh,
Uh-huh.
well, yeah, I just, I thought that was just like normal. You're supposed to like have burning in your throat after you eat food." It's like, people like don't even put it on the intake form. That's how normal I think it is.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, that is crazy. So one of the questions came in. I think your origin spoke to this guy. He said, "How did you deal with the misdiagnosis? Because I don't believe the pre-diabetes and cholesterol diagnoses either." So yeah, if you go to the doctor and you said you were pre-diabetic and your cholesterol's off the charts, like how did you kind of deal with that? What he classified as a misdiagnosis.
Well, first of all, I didn't even really know what diabetes was.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew it was like a disease of some kind, and I sort of adjacently knew it had to do with insulin, but I didn't even know what that was. And my doctor didn't really explain it to me, um, which was irritating because I'd been medically boring up until that minute. Like, oh, now I have a thing. Now I have a thing. Like what? So the way I dealt with it is by marching to the bookstore and buying books so I
Mm-hmm.
could teach myself,
Mm-hmm.
because I think I was disenchanted by the fact that my doctor smoke bombed that diagnosis and then like left, and it's like, yeah, I don't get anything more. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And so like people have, like, here's the deal. This is where it's dangerous, right? We have a vague understanding that what diabetes is bad and high cholesterol is bad, but nobody has ever bothered to like explain why. And I always say this to my clients will say, "Oh, my sister is worried that I'm eating so much animal protein and my cholesterol is going to go through the roof." I'm like, "Okay, tell your sister to explain that to you. Ask your sister to explain that whole process to you, because nobody can, because nobody knows. Like, we are all walking around afraid of cholesterol. We're all walking around afraid of diabetes, but we don't even know what it is." So the way I handled it was like, I'm going to learn about this. If I'm pre-diabetic, fine. I'm just going to go learn what it is. And then when I started learning, I was like, wait, no, this is fixable.
Mm-hmm.
And I fixed it.
I love that. We got a comment. Maybe you can just riff on it for a second, and then we'll be done. From one of our Canadians, and he's probably upset. He didn't write this, but he's probably upset that you're saying process because I have been working very hard during this group, and I've said this a couple times of saying process and processes. So we're kind of crossfading with our pronunciations here, but don't come over to the dark side, Aaron. It sucks over here. We don't know how to pronounce anything good here. So Josh, our fellow Canadian, says the scale is so deceptive. So do you think the scale is deceptive, and if so, how?
Okay, well, like, here's the deal. There's some tissue in your body that you want more of. You want more bone. You want more muscle. It's probably good to have some water floating around in there. Those
Mm-hmm.
things are heavy. Those are heavy things. Those are heavy tissues. Fat, the thing you want to get rid of, it's relatively light. It's fluffy and light. And so it's deceptive in the sense that it's in a sense, being heavier is actually amazing. Like, I'm really heavy, you guys. I'm super heavy. I weigh the same as I did in my before picture when I had a giant fat tummy, but the fat's gone. And I preserved and built muscle and bone. Wait, I'm going the opposite. I'm like walking, I was walking up the down escalator of aging, right? Because I'm 45. Am I? I think so. I think I'm 45. And after age 30, all this important body tissue starts to decline, and I'm holding court. So like if I were going to get on the scale, which I will never do, but because it's triggering for me, and I'll admit that, I'd be happy if the number was high. It's like, great, I'm going to be a super badass old lady. Here we go. Buckle
Yeah.
up.
Uh-huh. Love that. All right, let me pop on over to YouTube and see if there's any comments there.
Not
Our
on
YouTube,
YouTube. I'm on TV right now.
yeah, we're dual streaming, but most people watch that on the replay over there.
Mm.
So maybe some questions will come in later. But if someone does have a question, where can they find you, Aaron Power? Tell us how we can get more of you in our lives.
Oh, well, I'm pretty active on Instagram. That's eat.simple.aaron. And I have a private Facebook community, the Eat Simple community. I will admit that when I'm rebooting, reboot is so like the reboot's very intensive. So I'm currently kind of busy in the reboot, but then when the reboot's done, I'll be more active in the Eat Simple community. So that's a good place to get knowledge from me and from past Eat Simplers. And if you want to send me a note, you can send me a note at aaron@eatsimple.ca. And I have my inbox is a complete nightmare, but I do make a point of clearing out my inboxes once a week. So I will get back to you.
Very good. Well, hey, Aaron, thank you again. Really appreciate your time and being so gracious with your time and your energy and your insight. And I just really appreciate you serving us this way. So you're the
Oh,
man.
thanks for inviting me, Chris. I love
You
it.
are so welcome.